Today on AGetc, we are traveling around the state with Dr. Romulo Lollato on the Wheat Quality Council's annual wheat tour. As we scout the fields, he talks to us about things like sulfur and nitrogen deficiencies, waterlogging, problems with late planting, and we wrap up with the announcement of how many total bushels are predicted for U.S. wheat. And then we end with some insight to buying beef in Hawaii from Bill Haynes, Director of Meat and Seafood at Foodland. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Well, we are here at the 2019 Wheat Quality Tour, and so far we've driven by leaving Manhattan and going through Dickinson County and through Marion County as well. So far, many of the fields that we stopped by were in actually pretty good shape, very good stands, and enough, as we can see, enough moisture. So I don't think water stress is going to be an issue, at least in this region this far. Right now we stopped at the very first field where we're seeing a few more symptoms of both nutrient deficiency and maybe some viral diseases as well. So this field right behind us here, we're seeing a combination of what looks like to be kind of that sulfur deficiency, which is becoming more and more common in Kansas. And the way it looks like, it's a bright yellowing, like a lighter green towards a bright yellow color of the field. And sulfur deficiency shows mostly on the upper leaves. So as we're walking in this field, we're seeing some of that upper canopy really on a yellowing color, a brighter yellow color, which is typical from sulfur deficiency. In parts of the field, you're also able to see some stunting, right? The plants seem to be stunted and brighter yellow as well. Now, that can actually be a symptom of a soil-borne mosaic. This year we had a pretty long winter and a cold winter, and that's typically the conditions that favor soil-borne mosaic. So remember that soil-borne mosaic is in individual fields. A field might or might not have it. It's a soil-borne virus, a pathogen that infects the plant. The major control for it will be varieties that are resistant to soil-borne mosaic, right? So in this case, we're seeing some stunting. The yellowing might go away as temperatures warm up, but probably the parts that are stunted might remain stunted through the season. If it is soil-borne mosaic, really the main thing that we can do is this season, there's nothing that we can do anymore, but for next season, just plan on a variety that is resistant to soil-borne. And we have several varieties that are very well adapted to the region with resistance to soil-borne mosaic. For the sulfur deficiency, definitely at this time we're at flag leaf emergence already. It's probably too late to get any bump on yield from here on. But again, plan on a good soil testing program for the next crop and make sure that you test the sulfur, which comes a lot from the organic matter as well. So if it is a field that is low on organic matter, we tend to see more sulfur deficiency. So if it is sulfur, we can always apply ammonium thiosulfate or any actually form of sulfur. If it is elemental sulfur that is being applied, remember that it's not going to be available in that first season. It's going to take about a year or so for it to be available. But sulfur deficiency, as just like nitrogen, it's a mobile nutrient. We can go out there and apply anytime by jointing or so and still have a very good response.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you You can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
So we're here in another field with the 2019 Wheat Quality Tour, and we're just west of McPherson now. Most of the fields that we've stopped by so far are pretty good. This one specifically, you can see that it has lighter patches and darker patches, just one by the other. This is very typical of nutrient deficiency. So either nitrogen or sulfur deficiency could cause this type of yellowing patches in the field. Now, when we think of nitrogen or sulfur deficiency, this is likely more nitrogen deficiency that we're seeing here. One of the things that we are noticing is that some of the tillers the plants have already dropped some tillers. So just counting tillers in the lighter yellow areas here, we might be counting 35 to 40 stems per foot, whereas in the dark green area, which is much taller as well, maybe 3-4 inches taller, we're counting 53, 55 stems per foot. So that means that the plant is already dropping some of the tillers because it was deficient, especially for nitrogen here. So it drops the older tillers, the smaller tillers, in order to maintain those bigger tillers that alive and produce from those bigger tillers. Very common situation in Kansas this year. We had such a long and wet winter. We probably lost some of the nitrogen through denitrification in soils that were waterlogged, or in sandier soils that we had leaching. We could have lost some nitrogen through leaching as well. But overall, still a pretty good yield potential, but in some of these lighter green areas we will see a yield reduction here due to nitrogen deficiency.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide, presented by Lucas Oil, featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV, the all-new Better Horses Network.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
So here we are in a field in Rush County, Kansas, and we're actually having seeing some problems here in this field that perhaps are not very usual to Rush County, Kansas, where we're in the western part of the state, right? So really what we're standing at here is a field that otherwise, other than this part here, it actually looks pretty decent. So around us here we have a pretty decent stand with the except of this very part right here. So what we're looking at here is likely what was waterlogging, considerable amount of precipitation during the fall and during the winter, and probably in this lower part of the field where drainage is not very good, there was waterlogging. So we see that the stand is actually very variable. Just many plants just died here from anaerobic conditions. Now you can see there is a localized problem just here in the bottom part of the field. As we move out to other parts, it gets better. We are seeing a little yellowing on the field, and by close inspection, we see that Those yellowings, they're mostly on the lower leaves, so likely nitrogen deficiency in parts of the field. Other than this part where we're standing at, a decent stand. So one common problem here for this year in Kansas, where we had considerable rainfall during the winter and during early spring as well, some waterlogging conditions causing these erratic stands.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
I'm Rexanne Struve, veterinarian in Western Iowa. I have a veterinary clinic and started doing stem cell therapy on dogs in August of 2014. And after the first 2 dogs, after 3 weeks, I saw such dramatic results. I said, hey, I have arthritis. I have joints that really need this help. Where can I go to get this done? I had stem cell therapy done in November of 2014 on my finger joints, my hip, and the ball of my left foot, all of which I'd had real severe problems with. Saw a pretty dramatic improvement in a short amount of time. I would certainly recommend that somebody don't wait until I'm in the position that I was in with the damage already done to my joints. I encourage veterinarians to use it for their animals, and I encourage anybody who sees this video, if you have need, get in contact with these people, because this is a phenomenal place to have this done.
I'm Scott Thellman, and this is Juniper Hill Farms. Even though my parents weren't farmers, they bought this beautiful farm north of Lawrence in 1999. In 2010, I started growing vegetables on this land. Today, Juniper Hill Farms sells produce to wholesalers, grocers, and restaurants, and is focused on growing high-quality food that everyone can afford. Watch my story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
So we're here in a wheat field in Trigo County, where we have a lot of things going on. So first we can see that this is a field that got planted pretty late. So the plants are not very well developed. It was not only planted really late, but it was also planted in no-till conditions, which in this circumstance here might actually have helped with some type of winter kill, right? So we can see that the stands are actually quite patchy. There are several parts of the field here where we really just don't have a uniform stand. And that might be because of, for example, winter kill, especially in that heavy residue. What happens when we have a heavy no-till residue is that the crown of the plant might end up being formed very close to the surface, right? Like if we just talk briefly about the plant physiology there, once coleoptile is coming out of the seed and through the soil, it needs to reach sunlight before it puts out the first leaf. If we have a heavy residue, it needs to go through the residue, and then it's going to release the first leaf, right? So with that, if the coleoptile needs to go all the way through the residue, now the crown is formed close to the surface and is more exposed to winter kill, more exposed to colder temperatures. So that's part of what's going on here. But not only that, a later planting and a lot of residue, we're also looking at a field here that has definitely not gotten probably any fertilizer yet here, and it might still get, because it is still going to be timely here. But what we're seeing is these patches of darker green, just contrasting it with a very kind of brighter yellow, bright light green field here, which can very well be nitrogen deficiency or sulfur deficiency. The way we differentiate both is that sulfur deficiency, we're going to see more of an upper part of the canopy showing those deficiencies. This is more or less what we're seeing here, so I'm tempted to say that we're more in a sulfur deficient field here, as opposed to the nitrogen, where the color of the plant is going to turn more of a pale yellow rather than a bright yellow. And the leaves where we're going to see the symptoms are more in the older leaves, right? So I'm tempted to say that in this field here, we're looking at pretty severe sulfur deficiency on top of a late planting and quite a bit of no-till residue, which probably helps with potential winter kill.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if your cattle get out, you could be held liable for that? Call me, let's have a discussion. 316-945-6733.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by SureCrop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
So we're here at the Agronomy North Farm in Manhattan, and we just finished the wheat quality tour where over 60 people were just sampling wheat around the state for the last 2.5 days. So the overall production consensus was 306 million bushels, which, if we consider all the 7 million acres being harvested, that comes out to about 43-44 bushels per acre. But of course, some of it will be abandoned, right? So if we put a 9% abandonment there, it's still going to come out close to a 47 bushel per acre. Keep in mind that this 47 bushels per acre, it's very close to the number that we had in 2016. So that was the consensus. What are some of the highlights that we saw in this tour? I guess the first highlight is that the crop overall is in very good shape. There are many fields with very good yield potential. The catch though is that we are behind in development. In 2016, the crop was well ahead of schedule. We had a very warm winter, the crop was just developing very well, and we had a very cool grain filling period, so we actually prolonged the grain filling period. So right now, the wheat is anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks behind in development. And to give you just an idea, typically when we get in Colby, we expect the wheat to be at the boot stage at this time of the year, and right now it's still at that second node, so we're well behind there. Likewise, when we get to South Central Kansas, we expect the crop to be already headed out and perhaps even a little bit of grain filling occurring, and it's still at the boot stage for most of the fields that were sampled there. The crop being behind in development is probably going to put grain fill later in the year and perhaps during the heat of the summer. So that can hurt our yields and can also, if it hurts yields, increase our protein. On a positive note, most of the fields that we sampled had either adequate or even excessive moisture in the profile. So that will play on favor of the crop, right? Even if conditions are a little bit warmer, the crop should have enough water to at least finish grain filling. Now, many of the fields that we sampled, especially in Dickinson County and more in the central and eastern part of the state, almost had an excessive amount of water. And we need to remember that wheat doesn't like wet feet, right? And so in many fields where water is excessive, if it induces anaerobic conditions, or in other words, if there's no oxygen for the crop to respire, it can cause waterlogging and it can cause premature death of the crop. Symptoms of that will be large spots or spots in the field where it's just going to be, the plants will be just white, kind of bleached white, and if you enter there and try to look for the kernels, they will be small and very shriveled, very low test weight kernels. So that can also play against this crop, is the excessive amount of moisture in some of the fields. Of course, these are very localized conditions, not really in the western portion of the state. An update on the disease side, I guess that's another positive note. We did not see much disease. Some fields showing a little bit of 10 spot or septoria here and there. Stripe and leaf rust, which will be two of our major concerns, were mostly found in south central part of the state into southwest Kansas. Very low levels in the bottom leaves, but the message is that the spores are already in the state. With all the dew and with all the moisture that we have, it's very likely that, and especially with these recent rains that we had, it's very likely that those spores will be spread throughout the state. Now, we are not going to see those within an interval of about 2 weeks or so after those spores start infecting the plants. So producers need to be aware that rust is present in the state, both leaf and stripe rust. Conditions are ideal for the development, especially of stripe rust. Now, just be scouting your fields to make sure that if you need to spray a further fungicide, you do so before a pre-harvest interval of the product that you are spraying. Right. Many of these fungicide products, they are labeled just until heading or until anthesis. Some of them even just time within 45 days from harvest. So just be aware of those product labels. Another highlight of the wheat quality tour this year was really that was calling attention was the amount of fields that were either being grazed out or that had been sprayed with glyphosate and terminated, probably in order to plant another crop. And this year we're actually seeing much more. In the route that my car was on, we counted just 3 in the first day, but another 12 or 13 the second day. So a very large number of fields that got terminated, likely because producers had moisture in the subsoil. There was some rain in the forecast to also recharge the topsoil, and probably turning those acres into a crop like corn because of all that subsoil moisture that can really be helpful for the summer crop. Those were some of the highlights of this year's tour. Very low disease incidence, a crop that overall is with very good potential, but is behind in schedule as well. And if temperatures turn hot, it can catch up, and that will be detrimental to yield. If temperatures remain cool and moist, it's still a very good yield potential. And some significant area abandonment going on as well, mostly due likely to profitability and recharged soil profile at this point in time.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
This Medford, New Jersey school bus runs on biodiesel, and so do these. In fact, all of these buses run on clean-burning biodiesel, which is great because the more we use biodiesel in our heavy-duty vehicles, the less carbon pollution in our air. Think how great it would be if more of our school buses ran on biodiesel. More biodiesel, less carbon pollution. More is less. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
There's no true rush delivery to Hawaii, at least not in the way other Americans are used to. It's just one of the differences between being a meat buyer in Honolulu versus Houston.
Well, it is challenging because we are 2,500 miles off of the west coast on an island in the Pacific, and so all of our product has to be shipped in. Our product comes out of the Midwest, has to be shipped across to the west coast and then put on a barge, and it takes 7 days to get here into the islands and then into our warehouse. And then we're on 4 different islands, so then it has to be shipped also to the outer islands. So if you look at it, we've got, by the time the stores get it, it's about 21 days old.
That's compared to the week to 10-day age on most retail beef in the mainland. Foodland tracks inventories carefully, being sure supplies correlate with ad features.
We can pull movement reports. We know exactly how much we're going to sell by store. With all that knowledge and information we've got, we can make sure that we get the right amount of product in the stores, and we make sure we bring in the right amount of product.
Ribeyes used to reign supreme on the island, But switching beef brands changed that. They now exclusively carry upper 2/3 choice beef. And Haynes says that's encouraged customers to try other cuts.
We used to never sell New Yorks very well, but now whether it's a bone-in New York, a boneless New York, or porterhouse E-bone, the volume is all up on everything. So we've actually changed our customers and what they would buy because of certifying us beef, because of the juiciness, the tenderness, and it's just a good eating experience.
The company's purchases and ad features all come down to their overarching philosophy: food, family, friends, and aloha.
Our philosophy is take care of your customers, and your customers will come back.
That's a solid business plan, no matter where you find yourself in the beef community. I'm Bob Cervera.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.